I think with that, we're probably just being a little bit clickbaity and just thinking, yeah, what will get lots of views? And I think we sort of had a bit of a rethink on that and thought, no, we'd like to make a video that is a bit more honest, really, and just shows what we do with Relicing, our thoughts on Relicing. And because, it's been quite an interesting story. Our story with Relicing is there's been a little bit of a flip around, and there's a little bit of background here because earlier in the year and part of last year as well, we put up quite a bit of content showing our guitar plastics relicing and our pickup relicing on mainly Instagram, Facebook, that sort of side of social media. And we got, a lot of negative comments, and it sort of really surprised me how polarizing the whole guitar relicing thing is. People seem to either love it or absolutely hate it. So it's kind of like a Marmite, as we would call it in the UK. So it could be easy for this video for me to sort of tap into the kind of, why does everybody hate Relicing? When really it's not factually correct, is it? Not everybody hates Relicing. And yeah, I wouldn't be being that honest. So yeah, this video is our story in Relicing. Well, Relicing, if you think about it, is absolutely bonkers. I can't think of any other hobby or sphere of life where really you be looking to obtain something and then make it look older. If you're into sort of like classic cars, I love the idea of getting a classic car. Generally you'd be looking to obtain something, I don't know, from the 60s, and you wouldn't, pick it up and go, this is in lovely pristine condition. Like, it could do with a bit more wear. Why don't we spin it around the field and take it through, on the cobblestones and bash into a couple of walls and make it look older? So you wouldn't do it in that respect. If you think of other hobbies, a lot of things where you're collecting stuff, I don't know, let's say you're into vintage gaming or something, and you get a Sega Mega Drive from the early, a Sega Genesis, I think it was called in the States. If you get one from the early 90s and you think, well, that's in pristine condition, I could do with a few bashes. Let's get a screwdriver and, mess it up a little bit. You'd just be generally happy if you found something that was in like sort of time machine condition. But that doesn't apply to guitars. We've got a different idea. So I think it's worth sort of talking about the reasons behind Relicing, because there's a reason why people are doing it. And I think, one of the main reasons is, your coffee table books, your magazines, they've been showing us images for, decades really of guitars that we should aspire to own or we should fancy, or classic guitars. And if you look at those guitars, they're in a certain condition, and that condition has been through many gigs. It's been through just natural wear and tear, aging, all sorts of things. But we have kind of evolved towards fancying these kind of beaten up looking reliced guitars. So there's kind of that reason. I think the other, obviously the huge reason why people want a relic guitar is the financial implications. I haven't checked, but if you wanted a 62 Strat, I'm assuming it's going to cost you, an actual one, it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars, pounds or euros. And for most of us, including very much myself, that is, unobtainable. So there's a reason why we're looking to reproduce these instruments with that sort of wear, because it's unaffordable. And also a lot of us with guitars, it is about kind of hero worship, and there's guitarists that we would love to own the guitar that they have, and it's in a certain condition. And this kind of feeds into the general negative view that most people would have, which is, well, there's a reason why those instruments look like that. If you buy any guitar, all you need to do is just, buy it, play it, gig it for 30 years, and it will look like that. So stop being such a baby, and relics are stupid and that's kind of thing. That is where a lot of the sort of the naysayers with Relicing are coming from. And I must say, I have changed my mind really over time. I used to be part of that camp. I just say, just buy it and, play it, and that it'll look like that eventually anyway. Well, what changed my mind was something, which I wasn't expecting. And I think that view that I had, which is buy it, play it for 30 years, it'll look like that anyway, was kind of like, say at the time, a 30-year-old's view. And what changed my mind was getting an email one day into Radioshop Pickups just saying, and it was from an elderly gentleman, and what he said was, I have always dreamed about owning a Strat that looks like a 1963, or I can't remember exactly which one it was, or a 62. And he said, but I'm like 75 years old. I haven't got the 30 years it takes to wait for it to look like that. I'd just like to look like one now. And I went, really with that email, sort of changed my thinking. Unless you're Yoda, you haven't got, all these years for some people to age the instrument. And also I think, somebody's coming to us and saying, this is what I would like to have, this is what I've dreamt about. I thought, well, yeah, let's make it happen. We hadn't attempted any sort of relicing at that stage, of any type, whether it be plastics, the pull pieces on our Strat pickups, any aspect at all of the pickup relicing, we just hadn't done. And this email just made me thought, yeah, go on, we can accommodate you and we'll try our best for you. What happened next was unexpected for me. It was when we set about doing it, was obviously we saw it as a challenge, and we wanted to do it well. We had to develop, if you like, a bit of a philosophy in relicing, which we didn't have already. And that was, we started to analyse, well, what wear would there be on a Strat pickguard? What wear would there be on the pull pieces? At every stage, I think, with relicing, you've got to sort of think, why is that mark there? Why is that bit sort of worn down? And you start to think about all the things that contributed towards that wear. And I think anybody who's doing relicing thinks in that way. For instance, if you were working on a jack socket, then there would be all these times where you've tried to put it in. People blindly put a guitar lead in and you miss sometimes, and you're going to leave little marks, and those little marks are there for a reason. I mean, other things could be, why is there that mark there on the horn of the guitar? Well, because I dropped it. There's a story, if you think about it, with any sort of guitar. The first time you get a guitar, I remember I had this Gretsch Country Gent, and I was babying it. It was like a dream guitar for me, and the first day you get that ding, you just look at it and go, oh my God, I feel sick to my stomach because I've got this ding. But there is a story behind a ding, and someone can come up and say, what's that scratch there? What's that ding? This is where I landed up against a coffee table and it fell over, or whatever it is. Or, something flew off something else and hit it, and oh my God, I just felt sick. But so every scratch, every mark should have a story, and it should be reasonable why it's there. So we had to develop this kind of philosophy, and as we went about it, I soon found that I was really enjoying this, because it's kind of like almost like a forensic thing where we're trying to recreate something. I still remember the day that I sort of cracked the rolled knob look, because that is a really sort of integral look with our loaded pickguards and with the originals. They weren't just flat on the top, they were rounded off. And I had to go about it and experiment with different ways. And I went through a number of failures first. And then suddenly, one day, I literally, I was jumping up in the air, I rung down here, I was like, I've cracked the knobs. I had, to my feelings anyway, and I got them looking super realistic. And it was, that was the thing. As I started to relic it, and get into relicing, I found that I was just really enjoying it. So yeah, the journey really with us and relicing has been one of responding to customers and what they wanted, and then we went about it and we just started to really enjoy it, and everything just switched. Our thinking on relicing completely switched, not overnight, but just gradually through starting to enjoy them. And also once we put pictures up, we then found that people wanted more. As is a lot of things with Radioshop, it's sort of customer led. Somebody comes to us and says, can you make this? We make it, we take some photos, put it on social media. Oh, I wouldn't mind having one of those too. And then before we know it, we were doing relics, and we were really enjoying it as well. Another thing I'd like to really say is that my respect for people who are doing relics is absolutely huge, because there's some amazing people out there. You've got like your golden era aged guitars, formerly SC Relics, There's Relic Guitar in France. There's a multitude of people out there who are just doing absolutely fantastic work. My hat goes off to them because, you know, when I'm doing a loaded pickguard, there's like, I don't know, 40 or 50 different processes to nail it. How many processes must there be in doing a whole guitar? You know, I just can't even fathom it. And these guys are doing things on an almost like sort of forensic level, which is absolutely amazing. Well, primarily we do Strat loaded Relic guards. We also do Relic covers, and those have been tweaked recently. We've sort of tried to take that up a notch. So the Relicing is something which is constantly evolving. We Relic Strat pull pieces. We do all the plastics, so the covers, the knobs, the tip, and you know, you can see in some of the footage, it's quite a painstaking process. So generally it's Strats, but we can basically Relic almost anything. Telecaster we've done humbuckers, you know, a number of things. So yeah, we've got a really good range there. All you need to do is go on to the website radioshoppickups.com and go on loaded pickguards. And if you go on through there, you can see the Relic options there. I'm trying to improve some aspects of that. So sometimes the best place to see things is on social media. And the other thing, you know, if you want to find out more about our Relicing, either head to the website or just get in touch. You know, one of the things that we get a hell of a lot is people saying, look, you know, they send us pictures of a Strat they're looking to recreate. You know, I want it to look exactly like this. And, you know, we'll always do our absolute best to try and recreate a look. And, you know, it's hard, but we get there in the end. So it's, yeah, it's a really enjoyable process. Final thoughts on Relicing. I think what I'd like to see really is maybe a little bit more acceptance from some people, because, you know, as we said at the beginning, you know, Relicing is polarizing. You either love it or you hate it. And I think just coming back to that older gentleman that came to me and said, I haven't got the time to Relic, you know, the constant sort of boo-hoo remark really is, you know, just play it, you know. It's great, you know, if you're 25, if you're 45, I mean, God, nobody knows how long they're going to live. So why can't someone have an instrument now that looks a certain way? Why can't they have the instrument they dream about? Hell, if somebody's paying their money, they can have whatever they like. And I think sometimes we just need to respect that, because there are instruments out there like, you know, heavy metal guitars that look like a tree, and, you know, we might look at that and think, oh, that's not for me, but I certainly wouldn't make a comment on it. So I'd like to see a little bit more acceptance, really, from the people who have been making these really, you know, quite negative comments. They don't get to me. They did in the beginning, but they don't get to me now. But yeah, we had a lot of negative comments, and I think just like, hey man, just a little bit of acceptance. You don't like Relics. You know, I don't really like Coldplay, but I don't turn up outside the stadium and go, Coldplay are terrible, because there's lots of people there who do like Coldplay. You know, and no massive offense to Coldplay, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's people, horses for courses. If you don't like it, that's fine, but somebody else does like it. So yeah, a bit more acceptance from the Relic haters would be lovely, because, you know, if you get this stressed about Relicing, the only thing I can say is you're going to end up Relicing your face, just like I have. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Yeah, if you want more information on our Relicing, just give me a shout, and hope you've enjoyed this video.